They're angry because you are not going to overlook their aggressiveness towards you. You simply protect yourself from their bad behavior. There are some people, when they suddenly dislike you, they get jealous, envious, or have some kind of issue toward you, they get overly aggressive. A lot of women have been in situations where friendships have broken down, relationships have broken down, and there were major red flags that a lot of times women overlooked. And because they overlooked them, they might not be here anymore, or they might have suffered different things they might not have had to had they noticed the red flags of aggression and jealous, envious, or toxic people. When somebody starts getting overly aggressive towards you, that's when they start disrespecting your boundaries and they no longer care about respecting you. When you are dealing with jealous, envious people in general, the first sign of aggression is their tone. When people start talking to you in a very underhanded, disrespectful, demeaning kind of way, that is a form of aggressive behavior. And people who are suddenly jealous, envious, or just have some kind of issue with you, they will normally raise their voice. They will normally be very combative. They will always be argumentative toward you, oftentimes unprovoked. And a lot of these things happen with women when they are jealous and envious of that woman. Have you ever been in a situation where you will be very pleasant to a certain person and they give you toxicity in return? You say good morning to them and they roll their eyes at you. You say something to them and suddenly they're getting very loud, getting very aggressive. This is often what people do when they can't contain their dislike, their jealousy, their envy, or their overall evil behavior. As women, it is important to not ignore that aggressive nature, because people who get overly aggressive with you in their tone, and I'm not talking about one-off situations, we are all human. I'm talking about people who have a habit, a pattern of being overly aggressive towards you. That might be someone who doesn't like you, and it would be wise of you to not overlook that. But these people are mad because you recognize their aggressive behavior and you get away from them. As women, we don't wait around to allow people to do the absolute worst to us before we get away from them. Another way people get overly aggressive with you when they don't like you or they're just wicked or evil in some way, they tend to get into your personal space. This is very important because some women, some of these friendships I do not understand, where they allow the other woman to manhandle them and they're mugging them all in the head and they're doing all this play tussling and all of that. The way I feel about those kind of things is that, number one, I'm too grown to be doing all those kind of things, first of all. Second of all, I think when you allow a little bit of allowing someone to get into your personal space or to touch you physically, especially when it's another woman or a friendship or things like that, that tussling and play, tussling, that's not something you do. Because a lot of times people will take that as an opportunity to really show you how they feel about you. And I have seen this kind of thing in real time. I have seen many videos on TikTok, on YouTube, and I've seen this in person, where the very person they thought were their friend used an opportunity of playing to display just how much they dislike them. So overly aggressive behavior, that is not something you want to ignore. When you are dealing with someone who is overly aggressive with you, always talking to you in a disrespectful tone, always putting their hands on you, as women, we have to understand, once you get past the age of 20, or any age, honestly, it's never okay for somebody to be overly aggressive with you under the guise of, that's just how we are, that's just how we play. I remember a video I saw a while ago of a young woman. These young girls were in the car and they were taking cute little pictures. And one of her so-called friends, kind of mugged her in the head a little bit. But she did it so hard where the girl was clearly kind of irritated by that. And they just continuously kept doing it over and over and over again. When you are dealing with people who are overly aggressive with you, normally they are taking out their underlying issue on you. That is not something that you should play with. When you are dealing with someone who has a jealous, envious, or just evil kind of spirit, don't let them put their hands on you. Don't let them tussle with you and things like that. And I know this kind of thing might not apply to some women of a certain age, 30s, 40s, and so on. But some younger women, maybe in their 20s and late teens, if you're doing those kind of things, you need to stop it right now, because playing can turn into something real serious real quickly, especially when somebody's thoughts and emotions towards you change, which tends to happen often with women, unfortunately. A little bit of a sidebar, but not really. One moment they can like you and the next moment they don't. You can make one little comment, then they just don't like you. Or you can have a disagreement or a miscommunication and they don't want to figure it out. They just don't like you. So overly aggressive behavior from women, that is not something you should tolerate from anyone, but especially when you are dealing with people who say they are your friends and your family. That brings me to the next point. When you start recognizing the aggressive behavior of evil, toxic, miserable people, these people will be frustrated with you because you're not allowing them to treat you the way they're used to treating you. When you sit here and somebody tries to, push you and things like that, because this has a lot to do with communication. Some people have a habit of when they laugh, they almost knock people over and all of that. That's a little different. But again, that overly aggressive way of being, not only can it be very obnoxious and irritating to deal with, coming from the wrong people, they will take that as an opportunity to really play with you. They will take that as an opportunity to do what they already want to do to you. As women, we have to be mindful to be aware of when you're dealing with a jealous, envious, or just miserable person, and don't let them in your personal space. The way I've always known it is that if you can feel their body heat or you can feel their breath, then they're standing too close to you. And I guess this would be a little bit of a safety kind of lesson too, because when you're dealing with aggressive behavior from people, you don't want someone standing in your personal space. You should always back up from that person. And then when you add to that, they don't like you for some reason, or they're jealous or envious or irritated by you for some reason, you don't allow those people into your personal space. A couple weeks ago, I spoke about the situation that happened with Ice Spice in the McDonald's, where that young woman, she was a perfect example of how when people are jealous and just trying to stir up trouble with you, they will be overly aggressive to the point that they want to come at you. This young woman was standing over Ice Spice. Strike one. When you see somebody standing over you, you automatically get up. You don't just sit there and allow somebody to stand over you. She dealt with it, but you never let somebody, you have to feel that tension when they come in and know what they're about. And I think in order to do that, you have to have a little bit of wisdom. There will be some people who get aggravated with you because you recognize that aggression. And I have to say it exactly how it's coming to me. Some women, you have a gift because you might have grew up in a certain area. A lot of this aggressive behavior can be recognizable from women who not only have class and grace, but also have street smart. See, when you are the kind of woman that has street smarts and you can tell the signs of that overly aggressive nature, there are going to be some people who don't like it because they can't try you, because you already see them a mile away. You see how they operate. You see how their tone change, their body language change. You see how suddenly they're treating you like you're some kind of threat. People who get overly aggressive, they're always in defense mode with you. And when it's unprovoked, that can be even more annoying. So what's the solution to this? Don't be around people who feel like their only form of communication with you is to be overly aggressive toward you. If you are dealing with a family member who's always cussing, and I've been through that before. I had family members who thought because we're family that I was going to continue to deal with them pretty much cussing at me nonstop on the phone, talking to me like a child. Absolutely not. When you get to the age where you are a grown woman, you can respect your elders, you can respect and love the people in your life without allowing them to take out their misplaced anger and frustration out on you. Their aggressive nature, don't accept the idea that that's just them, that's how they are, especially if it makes you feel uncomfortable. See, there will be some people, they get angry because you're not going to let them be aggressive towards you. You will shut it down in the quickness. I actually had to tell a family member, if you're going to talk to me like that, I'm going to hang up. Like, I'm not, what are you talking about? Why are you speaking that way? Why are you talking to me like that? I will hang up. Or, and this is not advised, when you match that energy. And I hate doing that. Not only do I hate doing that, that's not really what God will want me to do, matching the energy of somebody else, which is the reason why I think you should just avoid it altogether. Don't feel bad for recognizing the aggression in other people and not tolerating it, especially when it's unprovoked. I'm not saying if something happens or you're having a legitimate conflict, of course, we're all human. But I'm talking about people who say they're your friends, close family members, but they're always so rough with you. That brings me to the next point. When you are dealing with someone who is jealous and envious, or someone who's just evil and toxic, and they start being overly aggressive towards you, especially someone who says they're your friend, it's normally because they've seen something in you that doesn't make them feel good, and something might be positive about you. When you start leveling up, when you start making forward motion as a woman, don't be surprised at the overly aggressive nature of some women towards you. It's almost like, and I know this is going to sound like, just direct, but it's almost as if the better you look, the better you feel. And I will add to that, if you lean more into your softness as a woman, the more aggressive some women will be with you. When you really start to level up, when you really start to feel good about yourself, about your life, about your looks, about whatever, some women tend to get even more aggressive toward you. I've noticed, not recently, thank God, but in my younger years, I'm still young, but I mean in my late teens and 20s, I noticed that the better I felt about myself, the more aggressive certain people were toward me. It's like the more I was confident in myself, the more they would speak to me like they thought I was a clown. The more they would try to interfere in things that is obviously something you shouldn't interfere in. The more they would just be so aggressive with me. It's something about seeing progress that makes haters and miserable people very antsy. It's like it makes them malfunction to the point where they have to just try to come at you with something. It's almost as if they're trying to dumb you down to size so that they can feel good about themselves. So don't be surprised when people get upset because you're not allowing them to be overly aggressive towards you. And some people might not want to hear this. You can't really change the behavior of another person, because I see a lot of comments of women saying, so how can I stop them from this? Or they need to be held accountable. In a perfect world, everybody would be held accountable for the silly things that they do. But because haters, jealous, envious, or evil people in general normally don't understand that they need to be held accountable, nor do they take responsibility, it is your responsibility to remove yourself from that toxic energy, from those people who are being overly aggressive towards you. If you wait for someone who has no self-awareness, high aggression, and negativity toward you to change, then you might be waiting your entire life. And who has time for that? So these people are mad because you no longer tolerate their overly aggressive behavior. You cut them off. You get away from it. Understanding that overly aggressive behavior is dysfunctional, that is really the first step. And a lot of women grew up in environments where being toxic, being overly aggressive, always being in somebody's face was the norm. That was their display of communication. Not until you get older, wiser, and a little bit more refined do you understand that everything doesn't require aggression. Everything doesn't require somebody to be right in my face. Everything doesn't require someone to raise their voice or to constantly yell. Everything doesn't require a smart comment or remark. This is really like grown woman 101. And this has a lot to do with your environment. If you are in environments of dysfunction where people only operate if they're yelling or if they're screaming or if they're having some kind of disagreement, that's the normal form of communication. That is what you will accept as normal. Not until you get out of that environment and realize that everyone doesn't operate that way will you understand that you deserve better. And once you understand that, there will be some people who will have an issue with you because now you no longer tolerate their dysfunction. It's because you seem different. It's because you understand that I'm a grown woman and somebody constantly cursing at me is not a positive thing. And I'll add to that. Some women, and I've had this experience, the more you lean into your feminine softness as a woman, there will be some people who will apologize for even saying cross words in your presence. That's how you can tell you're making a shift away from dysfunction into normalcy, because now you have certain people who see you and they don't even feel comfortable saying certain things in your presence. That's when you can tell your aura, your presence, and your boundaries are shifting. The things you used to deal with, you don't deal with anymore. And there will be some people who dislike you because of it, and some people who respect you because of it. And that is a wonderful thing. Like and subscribe to the channel and share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If you watch this video until the very end, put the high heel emoji in the comment section. I absolutely love to see it. Take care.